Hello Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading. Welcome to my tarot channel. Please come into this reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something and better yourself. If the messages that come through do not resonate for you, please do push them aside. Assume they're going out to someone else who needs to hear them. They might just resonate for you at a future time or date, so be open to that. Do remember you are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, and an energy check-in. That being said, we're going to set the intention to get Virgo some clear, helpful, insightful messages, something that's going to help them on their spiritual path whenever they stumble across this video. All right, let's do it for Virgo. I hope you guys are doing well. All right, Virgo. So what's coming up in the past? Oh, sorry, guys, I got a cough. It's funny, I just literally leaned into my microphone when I did that. Sorry. Especially on a Virgo reading. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I remember to edit that out, but no promises. What's coming up in the past for Virgo? Healing. Oh, this is this card gets me every time. I feel this card. It provokes so much emotion from me. I literally have to move on or else I'll start crying. It is a card of strength, so sometimes it's a card of Leo. Usually it's a card of being a very powerful healer in ways that you don't even recognize. It also isn't about being in touch with spirit guides. Spirit animals, especially those close to you that have passed on. It's they're still very much around you and communicating with you and sending you messages. Yeah, so you're about to embark on some sort of journey where you don't necessarily have a clear path forward or a clear, decisive action plan. You're being asked to trust your intuition, and more or less, I'm sort of getting go where the tides take you. It's some of you feel called towards a certain person, towards a certain place, towards a certain job, and you don't really have clarity as to why, but it's your soul has already decided. And I think some of you are aware, this is much bigger than I'm fully understanding, so I'm willing to at least consider it rather than just write it off as, oh, that's a pipe dream, or that could never happen, but it's fun to think about. Some of you are this is scary and I'm going to go for it, but I don't really know what I'm doing. And to be honest, what I'm getting from the universe, from the cards is that's okay. That is the correct way to approach this, is that you don't need to have all the answers figured out yet. So what are the emotions you're feeling? Yeah, there's something very freeing about this, and there's something very exciting. I just heard Sagittarius, which is funny because none of these cards are Sagittarian energy. I guess the Fool kind of reminds me of it a little bit, but this may involve couple things. It could quite literally be a Sagittarius is entering your life. You may hold emotions for one too, and that can be romantic, platonic, whatever. For some of you, it's definitely romantic. There also could be a mentor coming in. Maybe that's their zodiac sign, but let's zoom out a little bit. Let's talk about Sagittarius real quick. Most associated with religion, faith, yes, spirituality, that's Pisces as well, but also higher concepts of learning and thinking, philosophy, so teachers, professors, that type of thing, spiritual gurus, law, legalities, that can be kind of Sagittarian energy too. It's ruled by Jupiter. So with Sagittarian energy and Jupiter ruled signs for that matter, there's a need to grow and expand and constantly be evolving on your spiritual journey. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling, I'm wanting to say narrow-minded, you're not doing the Jupiter right, and I feel this is a time to hone in on Jupiter and sort of fiery energy, right? The first card that came out is technically a card of Leo, so you may be stepping up into some sort of leadership role. If that's not the case, you may be finding some sort of leader or mentor or guide. And I don't think this is going to be an issue, but because I mentioned the whole guru energy, make sure you don't get sucked into something without kind of practicing the very necessary Virgo discrimination of is this person legit, or are they trying to get me to do something that's only benefiting them? Just, make sure you don't kind of get it cult mentality. Sometimes that can be a thing for the guru life. And I certainly see some of my Virgos going off on a much needed spiritual retreat, spiritual journey, or embarking on some sort of new personal, some sort of new journey about spiritual growth or personal growth. Some of you may be moving across country or moving to another country or studying at some specific school or I don't know. For some of you, it's it's very I'm hearing the word monastery. So obviously that's not going to be for all of you, but there's something very oof, this is a big deal. This is something very different for me. But emotionally, you're it's emotionally you're sort of all in, but I also think that there's a little bit of fear because the Mercury stuff, the mind, the brain, what's going on in the mental sector, to me, a lot of that is still but how is this even going to materialize? I don't even. Interesting. So some of you, like, you're taking a huge leap of faith, or emotionally that's what you're wanting to do, but maybe you're still getting comfortable with the idea. I think the word faith is going to be really important to you, in your journey forward. So what is going on specifically in Virgo's mental section with the mind, the brain? What's the narrative playing in their head right now? Where's Virgo at in their mental sector, please? The Emperor. Interesting. So, okay, wanting absolute control and guarantees of stability. And, like, here's the thing, you don't have that already. Because, like, there's an ultimate truth that I think you're being presented with here, again, about, like, your soul's journey. But with that, it's like, I take it kind of symbolically that, like, she's blindfolded here, so it's like you're going into this a little bit in the dark, or a little bit naive, or maybe not naive, I don't know if that's the right word. I mean, yes, but not in the negative sense. I think there's something very pure and innocent and untainted about you, and so in some ways it's like you're an open book. You just, like, you want to learn, you want to immerse yourself with these people, in this culture, in this course, in this, whatever it is. There's something very, I'm wanting to use the word pure, and you come into it kind of like fresh-eyed, wide-eyed with enthusiasm, and I'm sort of getting like deer energy, like baby deer. It's just like you're kind of finding your footing for the first time, walking around and like taking it all in, and like it is an assault on your senses, but again, in a good way. It's like the touch, the taste, the smell, like immersing myself in this new culture, in this new world, and whatever. It's like, whoa, this is pretty cool, and like this could be my life, like just by sampling it, or being intrigued enough to go discover it or look it up online or whatever. It's like there's like this soul calling, there's like a spiritual calling of like, this is what I'm meant to do. For some of you, travel, I didn't mention that with Sagittarius, but travel is a huge thing too. Again, other cultures, foreign cultures, ethnicities, immersion in learning in any sense of it. Some of you are, this is not for everybody, but some of you are able to, and bear with me, I never want to freak anybody out. I don't predict scary things. That's not what this is about, but I'm bracing you, like, if you're not ready for this. There is some sort of message here where some of my Virgos are very much able to communicate with souls who have passed on and the dead. More than just like spirit guides and angel guides, like some of you serve as a liaison between, literally, I'm getting like Sixth Sense, like, Haley Joel Osment type vibes. Like, you help reconnect families with someone who isn't quite able to move on, even though they're kind of in the spiritual realm. That is so weird. That is so weird. Sorry, not that, but like I just realized I spoke with a Virgo recently who does that. So there it is. It's coming up in the reading. Wow. Okay, cool. That's very cool. Anyway, and it is too. I mean that like as a message. Like I don't see anything spooky or ominous about it if you are open-minded to that. And that's sort of what I mean is like there may be with Virgo energy, there can be a little bit of like rigidity. Is that the right word? There can be like everything in its box and everything neat and tidy. And I mean, you guys know as well as everyone else, though, opposed by Pisces, life doesn't work that way. Like life is messy. Life is chaotic. Life is just the immersion of all things and chaos happening at once. So where that sort of definition and refining or rigidity comes in is not so much for you to impose self-limitations, but for you to understand what it is that you want to do and being able to say no to what you don't. There's like a newfound empowerment with the Emperor. I like that. But there also is a need to say goodbye to having complete control and order over the chaos. Because let's say you do go into some sort of spiritual field, but by nature, spirituality is ruled by Jupiter or even Neptune for like the Pisces stuff. And so those are energies that cannot be defined and contained. How do you define what God is? That's such like it's like you're getting into some sort of spiritual practice or business or something where it kind of defines categorization and again, everything in an Excel spreadsheet and in a box. There's something very flowy and easy about this. And I actually love that for you, Virgo, because if you're able to let go of the control issues and just kind of exhale a little bit, knowing that like this is my purpose and so it's going to make sense. If you're in your soul purpose and following your path, it's not going to cause a lot of strife and anxiety, right? There will be challenges because they're always going to be, but if you can kind of get it, and I'm not saying all of you are like this, I don't mean to chalk you up to a stereotype. by any means. But if you can get away from kind of like the nitpicky, everything clean and tidy, like, you know, the stereotypical Virgo shit that you read about, which again is not true for all Virgos, there is something about just like this going with the flow, the spiritual journey. I'm going to be a gypsy. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read tarot cards. I'm going to talk to spirits. You know, there is kind of just that loosey-goosey, like embracing of all. It feels like you're leaning into like the Piscean stuff a little bit. Pisces is what I mean by that, Piscean. Interesting. Okay. So what is holding Virgo back? What is holding Virgo back? You there's a very strong thing about fire signs here, and it's funny that I mention that in terms of what's holding you back, because I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, but things come out in a certain order for a reason, very much. So you do have Aries with the Emperor, you do have Leo with Strength, and then when the Fool card came out, technically that's Aquarius, but again, I'm not going to play by the rules, I'm not going to categorize everything, right, because we're talking about being loosey-goosey. When that card came out, I heard Sagittarius. So I think there's going to be people that inspire you. That's very fire sign energy. Like fire signs go up, right? They're positive, they're light, they illuminate the path forward. I think there's going to be a lot of connection with fire signs who really empower and inspire you. Again, life coach, mentor type energy. Even if it's just a friend, it's like there's something about them that really stokes your fire. And you're like, yeah, I can do that. I feel better when I hang out with them I feel better about myself when I hang out with them. Others of you, there could also be a relationship that you are very much healing from. I'm wanting to say something with a Leo, but it doesn't have to be. There could have been a breakup. There could have been a divorce. There could have been, and it doesn't have to be romantic. In fact, for a lot of you, it's not. For a lot of you, you are grieving the loss of somebody in your life. Possibly a fire sign. And so some of you might feel like you're not ready to move on because you're still very much in that grieving process. And I'm going to tell you this. You need to take all the time you need to grieve, but you cannot put your life on pause to grieve. So I think there needs to be, with Libra energy here, there needs to be a balance. You can go to bed early and cry it out, or, whatever you need to do to self-care, or self-soothe, be in the bath, you can meditate, you can, be part of some sort of community where you guys, share stories of shared experiences, whatever. But, and I don't mean to be so like, whatever, like, I just mean like, yes, that's important, that, that's going to be part of your grieving process, but you need to multitask. As a mutable sign, you're able to do that. And so even if that means 1 hour of my day, I'm going to research this expedition or this journey I'm going to go on. I'm going to take, an online class, once a week, so that so you're not just giving yourself this 6 month period of grieving. You're going to look back on that 6 months and be like, I grieved, but I also did this for myself. So like, I'm healing, but I'm also building at the same time. And I mean, you need to trust your body and listen to your body and your mind and your emotions and know what's good for you. But I'm hearing like there needs to be both. There needs to be both. And don't get me wrong, the grieving is not for nothing. The grieving is not wasted. There's going to be huge illuminations and huge epiphanies in that process. So I will say, maybe you're doing the opposite. Maybe you're not taking the time to grieve. Maybe you're wanting to rush this process in an avoidant or a detached nature so that you don't have to spend time in the uncomfortable thinking about what you lost or what has passed or what has moved on, what has transformed, what has changed in your life. You need to do both. I'm hearing it's essential to do both. Yeah, a lot of you, I'm sorry this is so heavy, but it just is, and I'm not predicting this. It's literally in the past. So if this is your story, it's your story. If this isn't sounding familiar, it's not your story. You did lose something or someone that was very, very important to you. I'm going to say someone exited your narrative. That doesn't necessarily mean life, 3D, earthly things, but for some of you, it absolutely does. And so without this person, you feel completely lost. It's like you've lost your guiding light. You've lost your compass. I'm hearing the word lighthouse. It's like sort of that coming home to safe harbors. You feel like you don't have that anymore. And I think there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of guilt, and there's just a lot of confusion about how am I supposed to go on with my life. You're absolutely going to, because it's something about this experience is serving as a catalyst to get you to align to your soul path, your destiny, or I'll say realign to it, because you're going to do something absolutely incredible. And because you've gone through this experience, it's more knowledge that you have under your belt, but it's also made you incredibly more sympathetic, more compassionate, more understanding of something that you're about to embark on, that without that you wouldn't have fully been able to understand it because you wouldn't have experienced it for yourself. It's like having to do something vicariously through other people. Something about this, it's left an emotional scar on you, but this scar is like your superpower. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, what's holding you back is, again, do you see how she sits between them? It's almost like a little bit high priestess justice energy, where it's like being the bringer of balance. And I mean, it's a 5, so it's not exactly balanced. And so the grief right now is far outweighing the new exciting chapter. But again, it's saying, by all means, Virgo, do the grieving work, do the healing work, go through the dark night of the soul. But also there's 2 cups there that you're also responsible for. And that's tending to, more or less the good times. Like what you may consider the fluffy stuff is of absolute importance. Connection, right? The 2 of Cups, it's Venus and Cancer. So spending time with people you love, doing what you love, spending time doing what you see value in. You have to do both. You have to do both. It can't just be this. I mean, with this card, like sometimes you want to use things that are very dismissive of the grief that people are going through. So I'm not going to do that, but I am going to say, for first time beginners, like learning tarot, do you know what this card is called? It is called crying over spilt milk, right? That's sort of what we look at. Now, I'm not saying that to offend you, because ultimately what I feel from this is so much deeper than that. Like, you have every right to be going through this, whatever you're going through. That being said, though, it is your responsibility to seek avenues of joy and fulfillment despite going through this, because both exist at the same time. There's that like beautiful contradiction of like, this chapter of your life is not about grief. Do you see what I mean? That's very narrow-minded. That's very put it in a box. This chapter of your life is about grief and ... because it is. There's an immersion of both. So what is going to help Virgo move forward, please? What is their action plan? How do they find their willpower? What do they need to embrace? What do they do to move forward for Virgo? The 9 of Wands. You got to tend to your garden. What does that mean to you? I think you got to make sure that I think that represents your body, I think that means that you have to be very good to your body. Your body is your temple. Mind, body, spirit. You got to do all the things. And sort of get your ducks in a row. Because maybe some of you aren't ready to embark on this journey right now, this very moment. I think this is a sign that you're going to very soon, probably sooner than you think, with Aquarian energy. Like, it's like you're getting that feeling, you're getting that tingle, you're getting that spidey sense that like, ooh, like something's coming in. And then when it comes in, it's like, whoa, it can't be ignored. It's like, are you ready? What is that expression? It's like when someone offers you like I don't know, like something about like a trip on a rocket ship. Don't ask what seat. It's just like, go, obviously. Like, this is a sign I need to go. That may be a clunky metaphor, but that's sort of what I mean by the Fool energy. It's like, it wasn't in my life and now it is. And now it's like, do I say yes or do I say no? I think I'm being called to say you should probably say yes, even though you're trying to stay balanced and do the scale thing, and you're like, this is tipping the scales, but I think it's tipping the scales to level things out of like the good experiences and soulful, joyful, passionate experiences that you will have, in order to sort of compensate, not to compensate for the tough stuff you're going through. It's not to negate it. It's not to pretend it doesn't exist. It's showing you that life is both. Life is dark and light, and we sit between that, And ultimately, we choose what we want to feed into and what we want to lean into. The grass is greener where you water it. I think that's really important, and that feels very indicative of this, too. This is also Moon in Sagittarius, right? The 9 of Wands. So sometimes it can be guarded, it can be defensive, it can be wanting to stay in safety and control, but then the instincts take hold, right? The Moon, that's your instincts, your natural inclinations, who you are deep down, the secret side of you. The Sagittarius is, again, all the things we talked about, the explorer, the adventurer, the Indiana Jones, the, life is a dance and I want to be a part of it, right? So how long can you really stay in that comfort zone and not tend to your moon sign, which is what you really need for like survival instincts, right? The moon is the mother, right? And so essentially some of you are having to nurture yourself now because you may not have that person who used to do it for you. Very interesting, very interesting. Oof. Ooh, this reading's a little bit heavy. It is. All right, hopes and dreams. What is Virgo hoping to get out of this? Hopes, dreams, goals, long-term desires. Healing. Okay, so 3 of Swords is, I think a lot of you, it's like you don't want to be in this energy of grief anymore. It feels like you've been grieving a really long time. You may be struggling with depression, something like a very heavy energy. It's like, I just want the clouds to part. So, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm also not a doctor. I can't give medical advice. But if this is an ongoing struggle, I think you need to ask yourself, what can I control about this and what can't I? I think your mindset is going to be half the battle. And again, I'm struggling with this message myself because I am not an expert on this. I can read tarot cards. I don't have all the solutions, but I can tell you what the tarot cards are saying. Part of your mindset is sort of embracing of what we said earlier. It's like life is always going to have dark and light energies. It's never always going to be easy, but it's also never always going to be challenging and struggling. It's both. And when we learn to embrace that, we can choose how we react to things. And sometimes that's, like the fog of depression is kind of coming in for me today. So I'm just going to take it real easy. I'm going to be really kind and compassionate with myself. I'm going to stay in bed an extra hour. I'm maybe going to take a shower. I'm going to turn the dial down a little bit because I'm having a day, and that's okay. I'm going to be compassionate and kind to myself. Others of you, if this has been an ongoing struggle and you have not been a good advocate for yourself in trying to establish some sort of control over what feels uncontrollable, you may, again, want to seek out a mentor, counselor, professional, doctor. And again, I have no stake in this, but for some of you, maybe medication is going to be a game changer for you. I don't know that. But I'm just saying, with the Three of Swords coming up in your goals, dreams, and ambitions, it is a card of hurt, but it's a card of healing. So assuming you don't want more hurt to come out of this, either your hopes and dreams are to heal yourself, or your hopes and dreams are to heal others, to be a healer, which is literally the first card that you got come out. And to be honest, again, like that duality, I think it's both. I think by learning how to cope, by learning how to, something I'm hearing, tenacity, by learning how to cope and strengthen your own skills of healing in any capacity, it is adding to your knowledge bank of skills and abilities that you can offer to others. Maybe it's professionally, maybe it's your career, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just something you do sort of on the side because it almost feels like it's your divine purpose. It's like your, again, like Virgo energy, like living in service of something. I love that. I do. All right, what is the outcome for Virgo here? What is the outcome, please? Major career shifts and major career changes, I see. So interestingly enough, we don't have a lot of pentacle energy, but you bring that anyway because you're an earth sign, right? Pentacles represent earth. And so with that, I'm almost wanting to say there's a need to break away from the life that you've been creating thus far. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong or that you haven't been in alignment. No, it's like you had to reach a certain point of stability, right? That earthy energy, in order to embark on what feels a little bit more spiritual, a little bit more, I'm hearing the word charming. That's funny. A little bit more creative. Like I think you're very much headed into trajectory of more like watery energy, fluid spirituality, fire energy, like life coach, empowerment, travel, excitement, enthusiasm, or air energy, communicating, being a medium, being like studying, education. Like and I mean, you are ruled by Mercury anyway, so like you can very much fall into that, like the air energy type stuff as well, the sword energy. But yeah, there's not a lot of earth, and I think that's actually very significant. It's like the safety and the stability of what we've built, that's great, and it's going to serve us, but we can also take that with us. It doesn't mean that we are married to a certain job or location or person. And by married, I mean committed for life, like resigning yourself to a certain way of living, not if you don't want to be. And I think some of you need to hear that. What is the outcome for Virgo? What is the outcome for Virgo, please? Ooh, Ace of Cups. Ooh, it feels refreshing. It feels delicious. It feels satisfying. Ace of Cups are beautiful new blessings from God, or universe, spirit, the divine, whatever word you choose, a higher power of some kind. It's an offering. It's a blessing. Are you ready to accept it? Are you ready to take it? Because you've earned it. Spirit thinks you're ready. Do you think you're ready? Like, do you dare reach out and taste the cup? Do you sip it? Do you see what it's like? I think this is getting comfortable with starting down a new path and sort of easing, with water, easing yourself into it, like a foot at a time. I think it's going to be, again, like satisfying, delicious, nutritious, however you want to say it. Some of you, there could be like a new diet or regimens involved, something like that. I also think I'm hearing like, what is it? Lotus flower grows through the mud. It's like you've had to go through some muck and grime and difficult times in order to come up. come up beautiful at the end. And again, there's something very pure and untainted, even though a lot of you don't feel that way. You're like, oh God, like I feel like I've been through a battle. Like I feel like I've wounds all over. And like, but that's not what it's about. It's like, again, wounds are your wisdom. It's like you've come up through the muck and now you're actually really starting to bloom and blossom, and like the sun is starting to open you up. Again, fire sign energy, Leo energy, you're opening up yourself to the divine, to other people, to new experiences, to new places. I also think there's an emotional cathartic release of emotional release, tears, but also joy and happiness. Again, there's both. One can't exist without the other. You know what I mean? Ace of Cups. I don't want to make it tacky and go into this, but I mean, Ace of Cups can be a new love offer or a new opportunity to embark on a journey of love. So maybe it's self-love, but again, it's like your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're kind of high vibing and off on this journey of empowerment and soul searching, you're probably going to meet like-minded people who are like, hey, what's up, Virgo? How you doing? So I'm just putting it out there. This feels so much deeper than just like a love reading, but also, you know, it ended with the Ace of Cups. So for those who are grieving, but you still want to get back out there and find your person, maybe they're going to show up. I mean, of course they're going to show up. It's just a matter of time. But with the Ace of Cups, it's like this trajectory could lead you to that. So more reason to like embark on this kind of new adventure, this new chapter. All right, Oracle card for Virgo. Something that would be helpful for them to hear for Virgo. Friendship. Okay. We all need friends, and good friends is a rare jewel that sometimes is hard to come by. Spending time with someone who knows you better than others, whom you can count on, and whose company you enjoy is a gift in itself. Instead of shutting people out of your life, try to open up a little more. There's nothing more therapeutic than having a catch-up or a good belly laugh with someone you trust. Friends add to the fulfillment of life. It's time to reach out and embrace an authentic relationship with somebody who has your best interest at heart. Oh, I love it. Look how joyful this card is. And again, there's something very spiritual. It's like the divine is looking down on you, like blessing this friendship, blessing this community, blessing this union, whatever it is. All right, Virgo, that's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me today. Please do like the video. That would be really helpful. I'm trying to gain some traction on YouTube. I'm trying to grow my channel this year. That is on my hashtag goals list. So anything you can do to help contribute to that would be amazing. Leave an emoji, leave a comment, share with your friends, tell them about my channel if you like my readings. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today, and I will see you soon for more tarot.